The Jake Asman Show will begin shortly. Thanks to all these great Patreon members who help support the show. Get your super chats ready. Jake will be here in just a moment. If you love the New York Jets, this is the place to be. And now, the Jake Asman Show.
1 day away from the NFL draft, 1 day away from our first ever Jake Asman Show draft party with Fireman Ed. Are the Jets actually going to take a defensive player at pick 7? We'll talk with Jets insider Antoine Staley about that and much more. It's the Jake Asman Show. Let's hit it to get it started. Man, our Jets are primed to win another offseason, baby. We bleed Jets green each and every day. Will the playoff drought finally end? Kings of the offseason, baby. This is what we do. At least we have Garrett Wilson. We have Breece Hall. Please subscribe and hit the like button below. Super chat, baby. Cut the line. We have Sauce Gardner. We have Quinn Williams. Prepare to be underdogs. Now it's time to talk all things New York Jets. It's the Jake Asman Show. Here we go, Jet fans. Welcome in, everybody. You heard me say it right there. But let me remind all of you again that tomorrow will be one of the great days in the history of this program, of this channel. Our first ever Jake Asman Show watch party at Clinton Hall in New York City. As of this recording, we have about 20 tickets or so remaining. So lock in your spot and join me, Fireman Ed, and some of your favorite Asmaniacs as we watch the Jets in the entire first round of the NFL draft all together. If you're a Knicks fan, we will have the Knicks on several of the TVs as well as they play Game 3 against the Pistons tomorrow night. So it's going to be a great night. Come out and watch the draft with us and lock in your ticket if you haven't done so already. Let's say hello right now to a good friend to the show. We haven't had him on since the NFL Combine in Indy. He is Jets beat reporter for the Daily News, Antoine Staley. Antoine, happy draft eve to you, my friend.
About time, man. It's been such a long draft season. I feel like we've been doing this since January, which I guess we basically have. Well, I have anyway.
Yeah. Honestly, I did my first reacting to so-and-so's mock in November of this year, and post Joe Douglas getting fired. So it has been a long time, and tomorrow we finally find out, what this organization is going to do with their first round pick.
Yeah, I'm definitely it's still a lot of options there. Obviously a lot of talk has been, Tyler Warren and, I'll even throw Loveland from Michigan out there, 2 tight ends really versus, tackle most likely Mimbu. I know there's been some talk about, Kelvin Banks there from Texas too, but, it seems like, the Jets, have holes at both spots. I think you can make a case that they could go either one of them.
So I want to play for you something that Todd McShay said yesterday on his podcast, The McShay Show with The Ringer, which, by the way, Jet fans, Joe Douglas was a guest on that podcast yesterday. They didn't ask him a single question about the Jets, Aaron Rodgers, Woody Johnson, nothing. So you didn't really learn a whole lot there, but worth noting that Joe Douglas is alive, and at least he was a guest on that podcast yesterday. But this was Todd McShay talking about the Jets and what he's hearing in regards to a defensive player being the pick at number 7.
But if you're a Jets fan, what I'm telling you is Warren is in play, but it's much more likely at this point, based off my information, that it's going to be a defensive player. I have not had the conversation about Mason Graham, but Mason Graham was not maybe expected to be there, okay? So don't rule him out. What we're also telling you is we got some edge rushers here, starting with Mikel. I don't think it's going to be Shamar Stewart, okay?
Okay.
For other organizations, yes. I don't think with this one.
Okay. Could you see a Mike Green? They've gone with smaller.
No, not at this point. I think it's Mikel. Honestly, I think edge is in play because Jalen Walker could fall to them.
Okay.
And I think the expectation, because everyone in the world, remember the conversation I had? Stop with the narrow-minded thinking. Start thinking outside the box.
Right.
Don't be like the rest of them, said the GM to me.
Mm-hmm.
But it also could be.
I can roll with that.
I don't think. I think it would be Walker if he's there. I think Graham would be in play. I think Tyler Warren would be in play. But let's give him Jade.
It doesn't feel like Warren, does it?
I know they really like him, but it doesn't feel like Warren.
Okay.
Just like the Liam Cohen in Jacksonville. They really like Mason Graham. It would make sense, but it doesn't feel like that's
right.
the way it's going. Okay.
Antwan, other than Mason Graham, why the heck would the New York Jets take a defensive player at pick 7? I am hoping that this is smokescreen and it's not real, because if it is, my reaction to everyone who is showing up at my draft party will be this:
you get the out.
It's over. Done. The party is over. I'm gonna be miserable. I can't. I'm just hoping this is not real, because it doesn't make any sense unless you're telling me Graham falls to you and it's just too good of a player to pass up. It doesn't make any sense in my mind to take a defensive player at 7.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with you. Outside, unless it's Graham, I will say this: like, it's Lion season. Like, you can't, you really don't know what to believe, from some people, and you have to understand where to get that information from. So, I don't know where Michelle is. Like, Michelle's obviously glued in to NFL circles. So, yeah, I have no idea who related that information to him. What I will say is this, though: like, unless it's basically Mikael Williams, I feel like that's a bit high for me with him. I mean, he comes with some questions there. I mean, he is a very talented pass rusher there, can do a lot of different things there. But if it's Jalen Walker, I would probably be a little bit more enthusiastic about that, because I'd be curious to see how a guy like Aaron Glenn would be able to use him. Like, you can put him at edge, you can put him as an off-ball linebacker. Obviously, they don't necessarily need one, but you put him at the edge there. You do have Jermaine Johnson and Will McDonald coming back too as far as edge, but I do think they need some help there. I just don't know if it would be in round 1. I would necessarily address edge rusher, because I feel like you have some other needs there you need to address, like right tackle, like tight end, like wide receiver. I also think that's a need too as well. So I think it would be hard to sell that to a Jets fan base that feels some people feel down in the dumps, like, especially after what happened last year, where you had an opportunity. A lot of people thought this team was going to contend, for the AFC for a playoff spot, and obviously that didn't happen. And you get a coaching change, and you're trying to get enthusiastic about the new regime, and then they take a defensive player. I don't know if that would be hard to sell, especially when you try to get butts in the seats in MetLife.
Yeah, my faith would be gone from this new regime already, and in a record time to lose that kind of faith in a new regime already. To me, it just doesn't make sense. And I'm not saying that the defense is perfect. They obviously need to supplement it at some key spots. But I look at it from like a wider perspective. This defense has Quinn Williams on it. They already have 2 edge rushers in Jermaine Johnson and Will McDonald. You brought back Jamie and Sherwood. That was their decision, this new regime's decision. That's not the old regime. Quincy's under contract for another year. You're about to likely pay Sauce Gardner. You already extended Michael Carter. You spent money on Brandon Stevens in free agency. Like, sure, you need a safety. Sure, you could use another defensive tackle. Well, thankfully, it's a really deep defensive tackle draft. So right. I just think if you're looking at it from like the perspective of what they already have on defense, the fact they have a defensive head coach, they hired Steve Wilkes, who's a respected veteran defensive coordinator, and I'm expecting Aaron Glenn to be able to make guys better, being that's what he did in Detroit. That's his background. It doesn't make sense to me to take a defensive player that early. Like, it wouldn't add up. I'd be very, very disappointed if that's the approach at 7.
Yeah, I can't, like I said, I agree with that. I will say, like, they're going to take a defensive player at some point. It's just a matter of who that is and where that is and what it kind of board stats up. But yeah, I just think they have so many other needs there. If you want to take a D tackle later on, or even, like I say, Mason Graham, I think would be a home run there. I have a hard time believing he's going to move past Jacksonville. Like, I really do. It could be, a smoke screen on their part. I know some teams just kind of put some stuff out there so they don't know what insiders and other people know what they're doing. So other teams are very less, cautious about that. They're less worried about that. So it's kind of hard to figure out what Jacksonville is doing here. I think this kind of a smokescreen thing. I have a hard time believing Graham is not going to be there and they're not going to take him. So it all could be a moot point anyway.
Yeah, that to me is the big question, right? Like, if Graham is there, would they take him over, let's say, Tyler Warren or Armand Membu? And it does feel like you don't know what to believe this time of year, to your point, because you look at the top of the draft here, and obviously the Jets are there at 7, but right in front of them, there's been a lot of talk now about Membu maybe going 6. We've heard rumblings of Jacksonville actually taking an offensive player at 5, which then in theory would push Graham down to the Jets. As we sit here one day out, Antwan, give us your thoughts on how you think 1 through 6 likely goes, presenting the Jets with which options at 7.
Well, obviously Cam Ward is going to go at 1, so I think that's going to definitely happen. 2, I think you're going to get Travis Hunter. I think it makes a lot of sense for Cleveland there. Get the fan base excited. Have him play a little bit on both sides of the ball, mostly defense. So yeah, I think Travis Hunter at 2. 3, you definitely got to go with Duke Carter. I think Duke Carter is the best player in the draft. I think he would be taken higher because if some other teams had other needs there, it might be number 1 overall if Tennessee didn't have a need for a quarterback. So yeah, Duke Carter to the Giants. 4, seems like a lot of momentum for Will Campbell there. I think he's the best offensive lineman in this draft. I know it's been a lot of talk about his short arms, but I don't care because I think he's a great player. And I've seen it on film. So I try not to look at, some of those intangibles or whatever. But yeah, I think he's, tremendous. So yeah, and obviously the Patriots need some offensive line help. So yeah, I talked about Graham going at 5. I still think that's going to be the case there. 6 is going to be interesting because it's been a lot of talk about, Genty going to the Raiders, and they definitely have a need at running back. So I that's who I think they should take. The thing about Membu is, and then you have some Colton Miller talk too as well. He wants a new deal with the Raiders. Membu has never really played left tackle, so if you're gonna move him from right to left, that might not necessarily be the smart play for the Raiders too. So I don't know. If they should do that, I think Genty is probably more the option there. Then in that case, it's 7. Then you got Membu versus Warren. I would probably go with Membu there because I think they need to fortify. Like all the talk about Jets, the offensive line for years, like it's been a sore spot. And I know it'd probably be boring to take another offensive lineman, but if you could fortify those tackles with Fashanu on one side and then Membu on the other side and just worry about, the interior moving forward. Yeah, you still got to sign AVT or, to a contract extension. You'll see what John Simpson can do. You got Tippin for a little bit longer, but you have that outside set for years. And I think that's what the Jets should do. Just have those bookend tackles and, have the finishing piece, kind of what Daniel Jeremiah said when I asked him the question, as far as tackles. I think it makes a lot of sense. And I don't think it's as good of a tackle draft as it was a year ago where you had that depth on at tackle, where if you wait later on, you may not be able to get a starter unless you trade up from 42 to maybe, the first part of the second round, possibly.
What if they take Tyler Warren? What would be your thoughts on that decision?
No, I love Tyler Warren. I think he's a tremendous tight end. Some people have him as tight end 2. I have him as tight end 1 because I think he's, tremendous athlete there, former high school quarterback, Virginia. Also former basketball player. I think you could really tell he played basketball too, because the way that he goes up and gets the ball at his highest point. Excellent blocker there. I think he would improve the Jets running game too as well. Just the way that he is an inline blocker. So I think I would be in favor of that. I would just wonder where they would get that right tackle from too, because you wait to 42, you may not be able to get a starter at that spot. But yeah, I think Tyler Warren. I think Loveland too is also. I'll put him in there too as well. I think both of those guys can come in day 1 and produce for the Jets at the tight end position, no matter who they chose.
Your thoughts on the approach on day 2 based on what they do day 1? I can't remember a Jet draft that feels like, all right, if they're doing this at 7, well, then that kind of tips their hand on the approach on night 2 with a very high second round pick 42 overall. And then obviously the third round pick a lot higher than we originally thought post Devontae Adams trade. You see it on the screen there, pick 73. So just your thoughts on, say they take a Membu at 7, what is the approach on night 2? Give us some players to potentially look for on day 2 of this draft.
Well, if you take Membu round 1, then I think you're looking at players like Mason Taylor from LSU. Also looking at Harold Fannin Jr. from Bowling Green, who coincidentally led the NCAA in catches. Up there with Tyler Warren was second, and then I think Fannin had 125 catches or something like that too last year. I think he's a tremendous athlete. Hasn't necessarily been playing football that long. Isn't a great blocker, but he is a tremendous wide receiver. So yeah, I think that would be your option too. Elijah Arroyo for Miami, Terrence Ferguson, also possible day 2 options there, tight end position there. So I think that's kind of what you're looking at. On the flip side, if they were to take Tyler Warren at 7, then I think you're looking at maybe Josh Simmons will be there, although I doubt it. They would probably have to go back into the first round to get him because I think had he not got hurt, I think he would be up there with Mimbu and Campbell as talk as one of the best tackles in this draft. Then I think you're talking about second round, Josh Connolly from Oregon. You're probably talking about Ozzie Trapo from Boston College, Charles Grant from William and Mary too, although he's probably more of a third round pick, but those are probably the tackles that you're looking at, and they're probably a little bit more unpolished than the guys that would be taken in round one.
Give me your thoughts on the idea of the Jets finding a trade partner at 7 and moving back and getting extra picks. Well, I wouldn't love the idea of them taking a defensive player. To me, it's at least more justifiable if they're doing it in a different spot because they're getting extra picks. Do you see any teams trying to come up? Which players would a team come up for? Your thoughts on if Darren Muji could find a trade partner?
I mean, we asked them about that on Monday when we were at the press conference, pre-draft press conference, and they seem pretty open to moving up or down. Although I think moving down is probably more of a likely possibility. But I guess it depends on how far you move down. I guess if a team wanted one of the quarterbacks, maybe Jackson Dart was still on the board, which I imagine he still will be at 7. It's been a lot of talk about him going a little bit higher than I think some people might project. It just depends on how far you're dropping down. I think if you drop down, then I think you're probably either taking Loveland from Michigan or you're either taking some kind of defensive player. But it would also depend on how far you move down. But there's been some talk about it, nothing definitive, but you never know what may happen in the next 36 hours from now too as well. So it's all possibilities on the table.
One day till the NFL draft, one day till our draft party. A few tickets remain. Get your spot and join us tomorrow night at Clinton Hall in New York City. Party starts at 7. We'll be there throughout the entire first round. Come meet Fireman Ed, enjoy some drinks, some food, and hopefully the Jets not taking a defensive player at pick number 7. Programming note, you might be wondering if you're watching live, why is Jake live in the 8 a.m. hour? Well, that's because I'm filling in on ESPN New York later today. I'll be live from 1 to 3 in for Michael K. Damian Woody and Connor Rogers will be joining me, Jet fans. So tune into the show on ESPN New York. Download the ESPN New York app or listen on 10:50 a.m. It's not on 880 today because the Mets are playing. So 10:50 a.m. if you want to hear the show on the radio or listen on the ESPN New York app. Antwan, as far as the state of this roster, right? What did you make of Darren Muji saying they like where the roster is at, despite the fact clearly there are some holes they need to fill? Are they truly confident that they're going to be able to fill these holes in the draft, or do you see the Jets actually going out there and even signing some more free agents post-draft when it wouldn't count towards supplemental picks?
Let me clarify what Muji actually. Well, he did say that. He said in April. Like, I want to put that on there as well. Like, I think that's important to say. But I think it's in terms of the holes. Like, that's why he said in April, because yes, a lot of holes still to be had there. We talked about them all, I believe. But I mean, I think post draft you're going to see some players get released, and I imagine the Jets would be a player in that too as well. They still have some money remaining, not a ton, but enough where they could fill some of those holes with some veteran players should they get released post draft too. So I mean, I don't. Again, like the Jets are probably going to have some holes like going into training camp too, and a lot of all teams do for the most part. It's just trying to minimize as much as possible. But I think we talked about the cornerback position there. It got Steven signed. No matter what you think about him, but he is a player that they really like too as well. I do think they do still need to address the safety position. That's probably more of a day 3 / free agent move there. I could see them possibly picking up a safety later on after the draft too as well. So I mean, I think it's not in a great place the roster wise, but it's better than what it was when free agency starts. Put it that way, especially with all the deflections that they have.
What did you make of the Aaron Rodgers conversation last week? Muji, of course, not commenting on it. Your thoughts on how all that went down and now going forward?
I mean, that man, he set a car on fire. Like he set some gasoline down there. I guess with Aaron, I mean, I'm a little surprised he was that open about how things went down. I'm not surprised that it kind of went down to the way it is. I mean, when Aaron Glenn took the job, he did say it'd be talk about Aaron Rodgers, but obviously the decision was probably already made anyway before they met with Aaron that they wanted to move on. I think we all knew at some point that they were going to move on. It was just a matter of how that transpired. I talked to a few people about this, and I know Aaron felt disrespected about being flying all the way from Malibu to New Jersey, but at the end of the day, then the Jets did it. I don't think they probably wish they would have handled things a little bit better, but at the end of the day, like they wanted to give Aaron Rodgers the proper respect, and then they wanted to tell him to his face, even though it was bad news, and I can respect that. Like I think people have to understand that it's not great. Being fired from a job or whatever the case may be is not ideal, but at the same time to have that respect, do it in front of somebody's face, I think it was more respectful than just call them on the phone to say, hey, we're gonna move on. Like, and although they could have done that, but I do have some respect for them doing it face to face as opposed to on the phone. But it probably should have been handled a little bit better. But I do respect them for doing it to his face as opposed to just on the telephone call that probably would have lasted 2 minutes.
Do you think Glenn's going to be asked about it by you guys, or is it over after Muji said what he said?
Oh, I'm not going to ask it, but somebody's going to ask it. I'm pretty sure somebody's going to ask it. Oh,
I'm going to be rich.
I don't know. Yeah. If I had to bet money, no, I wouldn't bet Rich though. I wouldn't
Costello?
bet Rich. I probably would bet. Probably bet Cos.
Do you have any comments on Aaron Rodgers' comments about your meeting with him back in February? And they're like minus 1 million is I'm only going to talk about players on the New York Jets. Like he's not going to say anything.
No, he's not. He's not. But somebody has to ask the question. Somebody has to be the bad guy at times. Like I just try to, especially in media. Like sometimes, like you don't want to. Sometimes you don't want to ask a question, but you have to ask a question because it's our job. Like our job is to ask tough questions, and it just depends on how the flow is going and everything like that. But yeah, I've been there. I've asked tough questions too. Everybody else has been there too as well. But yeah, it has to be asked at some point. I don't know if it'll be Thursday night he'll be asked about it, but I think when you wrap up the whole draft, press conference and everything like that, and Glenn is there, that I think one of us will definitely ask.
What are your thoughts on Glenn? How he's handled his media availabilities, what he's trying to do? Have you been a fan of some of the things that he has done as the Jet coach so far? Obviously, he's undefeated, so Jet fans could point to his record, and it can't be used against him at this point. But your thoughts on Aaron Glenn thus far?
I mean, it's still a honeymoon period there, so we'll see how that goes. But, I know there's been a lot of talk about how he's, said certain things to the media there. I know, including me, especially at the owners meeting when I asked him about Jamie and Sherwood, and then he wouldn't necessarily answer the question. I was like, I didn't take it personally. I thought it was, it was fine. Like he didn't, want to divulge into the, the exact reasons why, they decided to sign Jamie and Sherwood. I was just curious because he came, as you noted, he came from the previous regime. And then that was really the first big move that they had made. So I was like, it had to be something that really stood out about Sherwood. But, he decided not to answer. That's totally fine. Or, he did answer a little bit and, decided didn't want to go into too much detail. But, he's a guy that's very just close to the vest. And like, as he said, want to do things in silence and not going to bring too much attention to himself. And that's totally fine. But, at the end of the day, these Jets fans, they, as they want to win games, and they're tired of being in getting to November and December and having nothing to play for. So we'll see how long that honeymoon period lasts. But I will say this: I don't think they can afford to get off to like a 1-5 start, because then it's gonna be ghost town around MetLife if that's the case.
And just any faith the Jet fan has that's remaining in, hey, it's Aaron Glenn, he was a Jet. Like, you're not going to care if this team's 1-4. Like, I think they need to get off to a 3-2 start, beat a division opponent at home early in the year, like show that you're well coached. I think that's so important for this new regime. People bring up Rex Ryan and, he's not going to kiss Belichick's rings. He said that, and people fell in love with Rex early on. It wasn't just that. They were 3-0 at the beginning of 2009. They beat Brady and Belichick in their second ever game at MetLife. Or actually, it wasn't even MetLife then. It was still Giant Stadium in 2009. Like that's kind of what I think they got to do. Like they got to build some credibility early on, not just what they say, but what they actually do on the field.
And it might not always be like wins and losses. It is always about wins and losses. But when you have a team in a new regime, it's just I think people just want to see progress. Like it could be 2-3. But I think if they play hard and then they're in games and maybe you lose a close one at the end, field goal, tough touchdown, whatever the case may be, then I think people will still be behind it. But if you're 1-4, 1-5, going into October and people were already some people already down on this team anyway, especially when Glenn took over, then that's going to be a tough sell, especially when the ticket prices continue to rise at MetLife, and the state of we are in this country right now, where it's a lot of uncertainty, especially with people in certain jobs and things of that nature. So I think they have to get off to a solid start. It doesn't have to be a 4-1 start, but they need to show that this team is making progress and they're actually a good team, good football team, or a decent football team to watch.
Antwan, you referenced this moment at the owners' meetings. I was able to find the sound. Let's break down the AG versus Antoine v. Staley exchange.
Getting him was critical for us to continue to build this defense.
How do you feel like he fits in with your defense?
We wouldn't have signed him if I didn't think he would fit in.
No, I said how. How do you think he fits in?
He fits in very well. We wouldn't have signed him if I didn't think he could fit in.
Jamie and Sherwood, baby. He fits in, according to Aaron.
Okay.
Love it.
I was like, all right, cool. Like I actually saw him later on that day too. I'm gonna give him a little nod too. But I mean, like I said, I was just curious to see how he fits in because like we saw a little bit in Detroit and things of that nature too. His defense there, but I just he seems like Jamie Sherwood. You could use him as a bit of a chess piece on that defense too, because I think he showed a lot of potential last year. It's kind of a blessing in disguise having him. Having CJ Mosley go down, although you hated the way it went down, but having a guy like Sherwood that, finally showed potential after just really being the third linebacker on that defense. And now all of a sudden, now he's the captain of the defense too. So now he's running the show, and it's going to be interesting to see how he fits in with Glenn and what they want to do.
Comments, questions, super chats, cut the line, and no one has sent in a super chat yet, but if you do, it will go first, and we'll bring it up on the screen for Antwan to address. Rico's got a funny comment here. Aaron Glenn always got the dad telling kids for the third time, we're not stopping for McDonald's. I do get that vibe with AJ.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, that is very good. That's a good analogy. That's a very good analogy. I'm about to use that actually. Like, good call, Rico.
Credit as Maniac Rico the Pup in the New York Daily News.
I will. I would definitely credit him for that if I end up using it.
Oh, man. Comments, questions, super chats, cut the line. This is the first time I've had you on since Justin Fields, of course, was signed and has already been named the starter. What are your expectations for him? And are you surprised that the Jets have been so forthright in just saying, hey, Fields is our guy. He's our starting quarterback?
No, I mean, you give a guy $30 million guaranteed. I mean, he's going to be your starter, like one way or another. So there's no point of even BSing about it too. But, as far as Fields there, I think they're going to rely heavily on the run game, which I think is also going to benefit a guy like Breece Hall, who I feel like has been misused at times throughout the course of his career there. Whether you had an offensive coordinator that didn't necessarily know if he could be a good pass catcher out the backfield, or they just didn't, utilize his skills enough. But, I think Breece is going to be a guy. I think Breece is going to benefit from there. Obviously, Justin can, run like the wind there, had the second most rushing yards in a season ever. So I think you're going to use that to his advantage. But they're also going to allow him to, it's kind of what Glenn said, play quarterback and allow him to, distribute the ball, kind of be a point guard there a little bit and, see if he can be the guy long term. And I think that's why you want him to be the starter, because he's 26 years old. He still, could be a reclamation project a la, Sam Darnold, Geno Smith, although I know there's some, sore spots for some Jets fans there, Baker Mayfield too as well. But, if you could find a guy that, can be that long-term solution there, that really, helps the rest of your offense and really, quite frankly, the rest of your team there. But it's a one-year deal. If he doesn't work out, then you're in the market for a quarterback next year. You're probably picking in the top 5 or 10, and it's going to be a much better quarterback class. If he is the guy, then you have nothing to worry about the quarterback position moving forward, at least not in 2026. So I think it's a win-win for the Jets.
Do you see them drafting a quarterback in this year's draft, 2025?
I do at some point, probably day 3. I think day three is like not. I would be shocked if they drafted one before then. But yeah, day three probably looks like a more option or a better option there. And in that case, you're talking probably guys like Will Howard, Quentin Ewers, who they met with at the Texas Pro Day. Also talk about Kyle McCord from Syracuse. I know Dylan Gabriel's probably got a little bit of talk, but he's a little bit small. I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of Gabriel, especially being 5'11". I think maybe like 200 pounds. But he's also got a lot of talk there as well, in like rounds 4 and 5. But those are probably the guys that you're looking at there. I know Tyler Schultz was probably the guy that he was in that conversation, but Schultz is definitely probably going to be maybe a late day 1 pick, maybe day 2 now, although he is a little bit older. But Tyler,
You're talking about Tyler Shuck from Louisville?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's definitely gotten a lot of he's definitely getting that first round, second round grade now, all about now.
Super chat from Jay, who says, have you seen Gaston from Syracuse steal a tight end?
I mean, yeah, I was Syracuse. I went to grad school at Syracuse, so yeah, I definitely watched a lot of Gaston there. Probably more of a late day 3, late day 2, day 3 pick. But I definitely think he isn't as talented as some of the other tight ends in this draft. But I definitely think he could be a underrated prospect if the Jets were to go that route, probably late. Third round, if that's potentially where they want to go. But yeah, I have a few other tight ends ahead of him. But I definitely think he has some skills, kind of sort of like Mason Taylor from LSU. But I do like Gaston. I definitely think he could be a really solid player in the league.
Boomtown says, Antwan, what's the point of taking a QB this year if it's all been guaranteed they'll be taking a top QB next year? Why not use the resources on positions of need instead?
Because I go by the Ron Wolf rule. Like, it's nothing wrong with if you don't necessarily know what your quarterback situation is going to be moving forward. There's nothing wrong with developing. Even if you have a quarterback like in place, like you still develop quarterbacks where first of all, you never know what's going to happen in terms of injuries. So it's good to have a quality backup. Number 2, if you do develop that guy and it does turn into something, like a solid option, like you could possibly trade him, kind of like what the Patriots did with, Joe Milton from Tennessee. Like they ended up drafting, Joe Milton. They also drafted Drake May. They ended up trading, Joe Milton there and end up getting the draft pick for him. So I don't think it's a bad idea to, keep just taking quarterbacks, especially day 3. I mean, you take a quarterback in the 5th round, like that's not going to ruffle the feathers of a starting quarterback, as opposed to taking one in round 1 and round 2. Then yeah, you could get another conversation. So yeah, I think it's always important to just continue to draft those guys and develop them, and just like you do in any other position.
Red John writes in, I think the Jets will take Warren, move Tippmann to offensive tackle since he's so tall, or put a Okafor there and put Myers at center. What do you think?
No. No.
You want to know what I think about that take, Red John?
You get the fuck out.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. If you're gonna move Tippin anywhere, it'd be the guard, but the tackle, nah, you're not moving the tackle. Like you just, and then they're gonna keep AVT at guard because I think that's where he wants to be. And 2, the Jets though are very conscious about trying to move him around there. They understand that, I don't know if that contributed to his injuries, but it probably certainly didn't help. So just keep him at a guard there. That's where he wants to play. That's why they feel like he's, the best. And, we can take it from there, see if they decide to re-sign him in the offseason. But yeah, they're going to have 2 interesting decisions about, AVT and also John Simpson after the season, which is another reason why I think they also need to consider taking an offensive lineman at 7.
I feel like when it comes to AVT, well, it's likely he's the guard. I do wonder if there's maybe some smokescreen involved in that, because if they did play him at right tackle, all of a sudden it really opens things up for a lot more options in this draft, because you probably could find a starting caliber guard on day 3. And then if you put AVT at right tackle, all of a sudden, I mean, look at all the different possibilities you now could address with your 1st and 2nd round picks. You don't feel like you necessarily need to take an offensive tackle there.
Day 3, like you're very optimistic. Like I don't know if you find it a starter on day 2. Yes, I would agree with that.
Sorry, so in my head I was saying day 3, but I said day 3. What I meant was 3rd round pick, like Tate Ratledge from Ohio State. I think he's a plug-and-play guard I could get at 73, for example.
Okay, that's fair. Like I was like day 3. I was like, yeah, he's very optimistic about.
I believe in Muji.
Wow.
Muji won't miss on any draft pick ever. The Mooj.
But I agree with that. I mean, if they felt comfortable with him, I think he'd be fine at right tackle. I mean, I really think he could, start there. I think he'd be a Pro Bowl right tackle, like right guard, right tackle. I think he would be fine. You move him other places, then I could get a little bit murky there. But yeah, I definitely think it would create interesting possibilities for sure when you have somebody that's as versatile as him.
All right, Antwan, final question for you. The New York Jets select which player at pick number 7 tomorrow night?
I'm going to Mon Membu from Missouri. I think he's excellent tackle there, plug and play guy that can play, 12, 13 years in this league, strong body, hard to move there in space there as well, good at run and pass blocking as well. So it only gave up 3 sacks his entire career at Missouri in 3 years. So yeah, I think you have him. You have Olu Fashanu on one of the side there, and I think you're set for the next decade at tackle. So I think that's the smart play to go. When Dan Campbell took over the Lions and Aaron Glenn became the defensive coordinator, they had a similar type decision there. They decided to take Penei Sewell at number 7, coincidentally enough. And, I think it's worked out well for him. So I think the Jets are going to follow suit and do the same thing.
Better find an all-pro wide receiver in the 4th round if they want to copy the Lions blueprint. Don't just get me a tackle at 7. Find me Amon-Ra St.
I got a guy for you.
Round. Oh, yeah?
I got a couple guys for you. I think Kyle Williams from Washington State. I definitely think he's a guy that's moving up the draft board there. I don't know if he's going to last around 4, but I think he was graded at around the 4th round. But a lot of people have fallen in love with him watching this tape there. So I think he could be a guy that could be really good in this league there. Jalen Nolan also from Iowa State too, another guy to keep an eye on too as well.
Hell yeah, Antwan, appreciate you hopping on. I hope you enjoy the food spread at the Jet facility tomorrow night and all weekend long. And I appreciate you hopping on the show.
Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Antoine Staley from the Daily News. He's going to have a draft preview out in the Daily News later, so check that out. If you have an early show, I'm on the radio today at 1. I plan on going live again in the afternoon around 4:30-ish. Will Parkinson expected to join me then, so I'm still giving you guys 2 shows today, even though I'm doing 2 hours of radio. Reminder to all of you to enter our raffle. Our mega raffle this week features a signed helmet by Justin Fields, signed helmet by AG, signed helmet by Curtis Martin, and a signed helmet by DeBrickashaw Ferguson. $10 super chats count for 2, $20 super chats count for 5, $50 super chats count for 10, $100 super chat counts for, you guessed it, 20. So that is the top items for this week. You also gift a membership like Luppy did. He's the first to do it 38 minutes into the show, and he is in now for 5. This one is for the Lup Man.
It's the Asmaniac membership raffle. For every membership gifted, you receive 1 ticket entered in the raffle to win epic prizes.
Here we go. 5 from Luppy. If you hear your name called, you bow at the altar of the Lup Man. Jet Life, 321. Hennessy Heisman, Keith Kirkwood, DM95, and Christian Thompson, all receiving a channel membership. I smell memberships. It might be my allergies, but I also smell memberships being gifted this early in the morning. Jay Brown says, how do we gift memberships? You have to be on your laptop or desktop, and instead of hitting the super chat button, go down and it says gift the membership. If you can't find that option, that means you're not on your laptop, which means you should super chat as a way to enter the raffle if you want in on it. All right, phone lines are open. Let's see what you guys are thinking. This show will not be nearly as long, but we did start early to still continue with our 2-a-days leading right up to the NFL draft tomorrow night. We do have some tickets still available. Lock in your spot if you're coming out to our draft party. Ladies and gentlemen, sing along.
I'm Ricky, New York, and I love to smoke. Florida State, I really love Florida State. Jordan Travis, you know he's from Florida State. At any rate, I call into smoking debate. Florida State, I really love Florida State. At any rate, thanks for taking my call, Jake.
Hey, what's happening, Jake?
Ricky.
Okay. I guess it's just me today. Well, only one more day to go until the draft is finally here and we can finally end all the speculation. And yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait. As the video probably illustrated, I'm an expert when it comes to smoke. And the Jets have put out so much smoke recently, and everybody's just eating it up, like that ridiculous Johnny Barron thing that came out. Yeah, we're not going to pick up another safety that we have to pay. That's just ridiculous. But
Is he even a safety? Where everything goes. And, he's like a hybrid between like corner and safety, is my understanding.
Yeah, not at 7 overall. That's just silly. Like it just doesn't even make any sense. At any rate, I've been thinking a lot about this, and dude, I watched so much film on these guys and have put in so much work, and I know this is a family show, so I promise I'll keep it clean. However, are you familiar with the term football porn?
Oh, for sure.
That's a word my wife came up with because she says I watch football like some people watch porn. First thing I do in the morning when I wake up is look at like NBC Sports Edge player news, and like it's got like the live up to the minute, any player news that happens, it's always right there. And like, so my wife will come in, she'll be like, "What are you doing? Football porn?" I'll be like, "Yep." So yeah, I may have a problem when it comes to watching film and watching football. But man, I poured a lot of work into this, and I'm looking forward to this draft. And I called yesterday. I was almost ready to like come at you yesterday. I'm like Jake's getting me upset. Like, why to get on board with this new regime? Like, I was trying to figure it out in my head. But then I thought about it. Back in like 98, 2000, like how old were you? Like how old were you in 2000, Jake?
Young. 6?
I'm guessing. Oh, okay, yeah. I was guessing like around that range. So you probably don't really remember when Glenn played. Like when he left the Jets, it was in 2002 when he went to the Texans. But dude, like, it's not tough talk coming from Glenn. Like that's the way he is. And whether it's Aaron Glenn or Curtis Martin or Wayne Corbett, like all those guys from that era, they would all tell you, like, I might not be the biggest, I might not be the fastest, but I'll damn sure outwork you. And they all had that mentality. And that was back when our team played like a team. And we were in the playoffs damn near every year. You went into every Sunday, not thinking you could win, but convinced you were going to win. And it's been a long time since we've had that. And so when Aaron Glenn says, we're the New York Jets and we're built for that shit, in his mind, I think he's still thinking of those 98 Jets, the way we used to be, the way we should be. And you know what? I'm so glad that he's here, and I'm glad with the mentality that he brings and the leadership he brings. And I'll tell you what, one of the things that, and I've heard like the Dan Campbell interviews and the one they had the other day with Donald, but one of the most interesting ones that I heard was actually them talking to Todd Bowles, because Bowles was
Damn, Ricky, I held on for as long as I could, but the internet was getting worse, which is kind of ironic because Ricky had the studio set up, but he sounds better when he calls from his phone. And I appreciate it. Look, no one could dispute Aaron Glenn, the Jet football player. What I'm simply saying is, until he wins games, to me, it's just talk. It's just talk. The same way we all loved Salah until the game started. Alan says, I didn't understand one thing that dude said. It's rare I could agree with Alan on something. Ricky, call back from the phone. We'll let you finish your point there. But, like, My thing is, I can't be sold on this new regime anymore until I see wins. I'm not doing it. They're not getting the benefit of the doubt for me. I'm not doing it. The Jets don't deserve the benefit of the doubt. They haven't won more than 7 games in 10 years. I won't even bring up they haven't won a division title in 25. I won't even bring up they haven't won a playoff game or been to the playoffs longer than any team in professional sports. I won't even mention that. 7 wins. That's the most amount of games they've won in the decade. I'll be all in on Glenn if he goes 9-8 this year. That's my expectation for him. If not, he failed. Some of you won't like that. But Jake, rebuilds, it takes time. No, man, win games. This team has far more talent than the team that Robert Saleh inherited, and he won 4. They won 7 2 years ago. We looked at that as a massive disappointment. Some of you think Fields is the answer. Then what's the excuse to not go out there and win 9 games this year? 8 or 9 at the bare minimum. 8 would be an improvement over the last decade. So that's just kind of where I'm at. I'm rooting for Aaron Glenn, but I'm not going to be sucked in by the fact he used to play for the Jets. I need to see real improvement, and then I'll buy in. I want them to do well. I'm just not going to be blinded by the fact that because Aaron Glenn was a Jet, that means he's all of a sudden going to be good at the job. I got to see it. This is not a rebuild. This is a retool. There are pieces on this team. And that's kind of my thing. Ladies and gentlemen, Jay Brown has figured it out. He is in the raffle for 2 by sending in this $10 super chat. Also, Ricky was talking about jet porn. So before I get to a 20 spot from T-Swizzle, I'll give you all some jet porn. Here's Brian Baldinger with some jet porn.
Remember when the Jets could put together an offensive line, go to Foxborough in a playoff game and beat them? Beat them right there in the trenches. Wayne Hunter, you got Brandon Moore, Mangold. How about Matt Slauson that year? You got DeBrick, you got Tony Richardson, and a guy like Sean Green could go put this game away. Like, you watch this, it's been this long. This is how grainy the film is. It's been this long, it seems, since they've been able to put a great offensive line together and not allow any penetration. Tony Richardson just melting safeties off the corner. Strong backs, turning the corner into the end zone. And they could protect Sanchez like this. Like, no matter what you did, you got Mangold right there. Like, look at this. Here comes the stunt. Look at this pocket. Like, it's a cradle of love right there for Sanchez to make that throw. To Jericho Cotchery, who breaks a tackle and gets down in the alley. Like, 58 yards later, Jets were ready to score. Remember when the Jets used to put an offensive line together? God, it'd be nice if they could do that.
Give me a cradle of love for Justin Fields. I want a cradle of love. Now that's jet porn, Ricky. All right. Watching film on, tight end 7. That's only jet porn for a select few in this fan base that's obsessed with the draft. For me, jet porn is what I put on the screen. For others, Gunnar Helm film or Terrence Ferguson film is jet porn. It's amazing that footage is not black and white we just played. It feels like it's been that long. But I'm cautiously optimistic. But I'll tell you right now, Ricky, if they take a defensive player at 7, I'm out on Aaron Glenn. See ya. I'm out on Darren Muji. That's it. They've lost me. So I don't think they'll do it. But I'm willing to give this new regime a chance because they're not responsible for the debacle that has been the Jets the last 15 years. But if they take a defensive player at 7 over Membu or Warren or Campbell or whoever is there, then why would I have any confidence in this new regime? Good luck trying to spin that one to all the Glenn truthers. T-Swizzle is in the Asmaniac raffle for 10 or 20, excuse me. Are you kidding me? I got to grab my helmet. Let's go.
Now, give me money. Or I shoot him. And I shoot all you motherfuckers. And then we take it. Your choice, bitches.
This is the earliest a 20 spot has ever been sent in the history of the show. T-Swizzle, you made history. Mark Riz, Skinny D23, Greg, Morning Woody, Egg Barty, Sorry Not Sorry, Big Will, Dr. V-Man, Shane Daniels, Adrian Flores, Jackman Menorino, Kikuka Lake Jet Fan, Sean, DYSL Studio, Tammy C, Alan has gonorrhea, Flight Boss, York Pinnock, Devin Frank, and Amir Landon, all receiving channel memberships. Let's go.
We're the freaking New York Jets, so we're built for this shit.
Hell yeah. All right. Last chance to get in here. Comments, questions, super chats. Cut the line. We'll get to more of your calls coming up. Third man says, Peter Schrager just mocked Warren to us. I hope he's right. Schrager's usually pretty good. He only does one mock draft, and he says he does it based on intel he has heard from talking to people around the league. Now, Bembu was off the board in this Schrager mock, I believe. So if they took Warren because Bembu wasn't there, I get it. Yo Holmes can't seem to understand what I'm saying. I'm going to give this new regime the benefit of the doubt until they prove they're incompetent. But I'm not going to sit here and shower them with praises unless they accomplish something. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I'm sitting here telling you that I'm not going to sit here and say I believe they're going to be great. I don't. I also don't know that they're going to be bad. So I'm just going to wait. My expectation is that this team goes out there and wins 8 or 9 games in year one. If they don't do that, they failed. Tell me I'm wrong. Remember the call I took like last week or the week before? You know, if they win 6 or 7 games, I'll be happy. Really? That's your expectation? You're happy with that? Okay. I mean, God, do the Jets love you. They love you. You're their favorite type of fan. They could do no wrong. They could take a dump in your cereal and you'd say, well, it's better they did it in my cereal than someone else's. You know, let's see this team win games. That'd be nice. Well, Alan has gonorrhea. Didn't actually get a membership. You two lied. Look at the screen. Unbelievable. Wow, Yo Holmes says it's crazy talk to expect the Jets to win 8 or 9 games. All right. Yo Holmes, please. If it's crazy to expect this team to do that, then, I mean, you got to find a different show. Peter Castro says, trust in Fields. Just relax. I hope so. I don't understand why Peter Castro believes in Justin Fields so much. Ladies and gentlemen, more of your calls. Last chance to get in. Right now, there's only one man that is currently on hold, and that man is a Jet legend. Or is he?
Look at that hair on Kyle Clifton. Magnificent.
Look at you.
Yeah. Not so magnificent now.
Happy Draftmas Eve.
Yes, right? So I had to go outside to the beach to my happy place with all the smoke around Jade Barron. You know, I want to believe what Ricky's saying, that it's, you know, all smoke and no substance. The guy is a little bit too like Aaron Glenn for my liking. Like, it kind of makes me a little bit worried if this guy is just saying, well, this guy's exactly like me and this is exactly what this team needs.
Right.
You know, I think that the moves that they've made in this offseason with the offensive line, with Myers, who might be a capable center, definitely familiar with the quarterback, a core 4 who has plenty of starts at right tackle. It gives them the flexibility to play the board. So, you know, when Staley was talking before about, who may or may not be there in the third or fourth round as far as offensive lineman goes, and you talked about Ratledge in the second or third round.
By the way, he went to Georgia. I think I said Ohio State earlier.
Yeah, I was thinking about his running mate there at Georgia at guard, Fairchild. Like, he's a guy that has a third or fourth round grade that might be there at like 110, right? So I think with this draft, with the offensive line, their intention is to play the board, see who's available, see where they can take down value, and say, let's get some quality guys in there, and let's see what we can put together to get this running game up and going. I don't know, like, I'm not going to be upset if it's Membu at 7. I understand the value of a guy that's going to be your long-term right tackle. You get 5 years of control. If he's got that much upside, I understand taking him. My personal thing is, we cannot come out of the first 2 days without a weapon, and I think the best place to get a weapon is at 7. That's my only feeling on it. I'm looking forward to seeing everyone tomorrow, Jake. Let's go.
Kyle, let's go. I think there's a chance for us to be happy tomorrow night all together. And there's a chance for us to be miserable. So who knows what's going to happen.
And not as great a chance as there is for us to be miserable. So let's go into this, with open eyes.
I like
I'll
it.
talk to you, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Jets' all-time leading tackler himself, Kyle Clifton. Join the Patreon if you want access to the Discord, and you could see Kyle Clifton, to quote Gator in that intro there, typing a lot. Patreon.com/Jake Asman Show. We need to get some fresh love, fresh life on the Patreon here. So if you're coming to the draft party, I consider you a pretty big Asmaniac. If you're going to take time out of your live on a Thursday night to come to the draft party, get in the Patreon. You'll get Discord access, your name added to the countdown ticker, bonus shows, 20% off every merch item. We added a bunch of new merch items last month, including some new shirts and hats. So check it out. It's patreon.com/Jake Asman Show. And if you join for the year, you now save 20% and you're automatically added to the Asmaniac raffle for 10 entries. So you get some entries in as well. More of your calls coming up here. This could be a shorter show. If you're just tuning in, I'm filling in for Michael K on ESPN New York today, which is why I started in the 8 a.m. hour instead of the usual 10 a.m. hour. Sam with a super chat. Is it reasonable to ask for 8 wins? It's like we're building in excuses for Aaron. Why? You're saying it is reasonable. Yeah, I agree with you, Sam. It is reasonable to ask for this team to win 8 games. They won 7 without a quarterback 2 years ago. Many of you are telling me Fields is the answer. So why can't they go 8-9? Hell, 9-8, I don't think is crazy. Daniel Jones and Brian Dable did it 2 years ago. First year Dable, first year Joe Shane. A lot of those players weren't even Joe Shane players. They were Dave Gettleman players. So that's my expectation. If they win 5 or 6 games, guess what? Year 2, Aaron Glenn, if they miss the playoffs, he's on the hot seat in year 3 if he survives. Love affair, honeymoon, it's over. Boomtown says, Jake, is your radio spot today a call-in show? Yes, it is. It is call-in from 1 to 3. I'm just keeping it real with you guys. Like, if people think it's like crazy talk to talk about winning 8 or 9 games, it's not. Every team in the NFL could do it. Remember, we all talk about the 2022 Jets draft class. Look at the teams in the top 5 that year. Jacksonville made the playoffs, has won a playoff game since then. Detroit made the playoffs multiple times, has won multiple playoff games since then. Houston has made the playoffs multiple times, has won multiple playoff games since then. The Jets, Giants made the playoffs and won a playoff game since then. That's just the top 5. That's in 2022. It's now 2025, and the Jets have somehow been worse. So when you think I'm too negative and, I'm not giving Glenn, I'm giving Glenn a fair chance. I'm calling it how it is. Win games. And I'll be right there pounding the Aaron Glenn for Coach of the Year table. I will be. I'm just tired of losing, man. It's enough. Stop making excuses for losers. They don't deserve the benefit of the doubt. They're a joke of a franchise. A joke. They don't deserve us. They're lucky they have us. Let's treat them accordingly. This fan base is one of the greatest in all of sports, if not the greatest. So sorry if I'm too tough for wanting to go 8-9. I mean, what a loser's mentality. Let's crush this draft. Give us a reason to be excited. They take a defensive player, though, which I think is really a possibility. It concerns me. I'm out on this regime already. Nick says, more or less faith in Glenn after Rodgers' take on the meeting. It didn't change my thought. I don't think the meeting meant much. I think they already decided they were moving on from Aaron Rodgers. The one thing I like about Glenn is that he's doing it his way. He's got conviction in his decisions. Now, it doesn't mean it's the right decision, but I like that he's no nonsense and he'll change this country club atmosphere. I like that from Aaron Glenn. But I also I don't want to be sucked into words, So I don't know. I'm not trying to come across as negative. I'm just trying to keep it real. We've been fed so much BS in the past. It's just show me. And I'm hoping Glenn could do that. And I think getting off to a good start. I've mentioned it a couple times on the show. I know Antwan talked about it when he was on with us. This team, if they could start 4-2, I think that would do wonders for the fan base. Darth Crypto is in the Asmaniac raffle for 1. Thank you, Darth. Your membership went to listener Shadow Realm. More of your calls right now. Hep is on the line. Hello, Hep.
Hey, Jake. Hey, fellas. I'm curious. I'm not going to be able to make it to the draft party. I have some musical things I have to do. But I was curious. Are you going live at all?
Yes.
And you are? Okay.
Right after the Jets pick.
Oh, awesome. And are you doing the Bonesy Trophy tomorrow?
The trophy presentation will, in fact, be tomorrow. I'm actually looking at the best of the best trophy in front of me. It arrived yesterday, and we also will have an official cutting of the nets ceremony as well. There will be an actual basketball hoop.
Oh, nice.
And Bonesy will get up there and cut down the nets as well at this party.
Oh, that's great. I have one suggestion. Since this is going to be an epic Asmania get-together, do you remember the old photos you used to take when you were in Little League? You had everybody lined up?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to do that with all the Asmaniacs. That way you'll have it forever.
I love it. I'm in, Hep. We'll make it happen for you.
All right, buddy. Peace out.
Ladies and gentlemen, Hep checking in. Folks, there's a man who rides around New York City on a bicycle. He is on the line right now, but I don't see a camera. Nate, are you there? Ladies and
Jake,
gentlemen.
whatever you just played is ringing in my ear. I'm just hearing the cash noise over and over in my ear. So I got to call you back. Okay, it stopped. Did you stop it?
No, I just played it.
It was just constantly ringing in my ear.
What about this? Do you hear the alarm?
Yeah. I got you. It's just in my ear. You're not on speaker in New York. It's not doing anything to the people. All right, real quick. So now you got to go. You said, hold on. I had 2 points. Sounds like you said that you expected 4 wins this year, right? When we got Glenn, based on this roster.
No. I smelt 4 wins then.
All right, so what does that mean? So, use another synonym. What is if you smell 4 wins, but you expect 9 wins? That's where I'm a little bit lost in translation here.
Well, okay, so my definition of a successful season would be a winning season. They win 9 games. I think they're probably closer to a 4-win team than they are a 9-win team right now.
So what would you expect if you had to put money on a certain amount of wins? Vegas wise, what would you put money on wins wise?
I think they'll probably win around 6 games right now. I want to see what they do in the draft.
All right, so your expectations are what a lot of people are saying, that 6 type of wins. We don't know how we're going to get there necessarily, but
Yeah,
I
but I
agree.
don't think it's a good thing. Is my point. Like I'm not like there were
No,
some
of
people
course.
saying like
6
that'd
wins
be
is
a
never
good
a good
thing.
thing. No,
Yeah.
it's never a good thing. If you get 8 or 9 wins, but I do think Glenn is going to be closer to like coach of the year if we're on 9 or 10 wins in December. All right, the second thing you said, and I had to rewind it to make sure I heard you correctly. You said that if we take a defensive player in round 1, you're out on Aaron Glenn.
Unless it's Mason Graham, then I understand it.
Or Carter or Travis Hunter.
Correct. I'm just assuming they're gone though.
All right. So outside of those 3 players, I don't know. I'm still on the boat where unless you tell me Warren and Membu are like automatic all pros, I don't understand how you could literally be out on a coach before we've seen a game played. And whoever they draft, if it's the best player in 2 years, we're going to look back and say awesome, just like Will McDonald. Like I feel like a lot of people would have said the same thing about a pass rusher that year, right? And then we drafted a pass rusher and everybody got mad. So I don't know. I think this draft, like you've said it over and over, there's almost like there's 4 or 5 locked lottery picks, so to speak. So I don't know why. If we do pick a defensive player, they think is the best guy on the board. They think Warren was a regular tight end, and they think Membu was a regular right tackle. So I don't know. That was my only pushback. Where I was like, "Whoa, did Jake just say he's out on Aaron Glenn before they play
If
a
they
game?"
take Jade Barrett, I will be. Yes, I'm out on Glenn on Muji. I think they're destined to fail. Their first pick is to take a corner/safety who is like a guy being like picked to go in the 20s, and they take him at 7 when they don't even have a need at corner.
Yeah, I mean, I was all over Barron. I don't know if people listen to the Nick Shine show now, but I thought it was going to be like a round 2 guy. That was a couple months ago, and then he seemed to kind of fly up the board. But yeah, he did play a lot of zone and like read the quarterback's eyes at Texas. So I don't understand if we're playing a lot of man press. I think that's a total smoke screen, as Ricky alluded to earlier. But all right, that was my only points. I'm at the office, Jake. I got to run.
Ladies and gentlemen,
we'll see you tomorrow.
Nate, we love you. Appreciate you. My thing would be, I just don't. I think you're trying to be too smart if you do that. I don't like it. I don't think they're gonna take Jade Barron, but like we can't rule it out. We don't know. If they take Michael Williams, they're trying to be too smart. Now Jalen Walker, at least he's a premium position, but I don't think that's practical either. Unless it's Mason Graham, I think taking a defensive player at 7 would be a huge, huge mistake. And that will show me that this regime thinks they're just smarter than all of us, and they're not. Joe Douglas taking Mekhi Becton was him trying to be too smart. Like, to me, based on this draft, it needs to be offensive player at 7. Or if Graham's there, you could justify taking him at 7 because many people think he's a top 3 to 4 player in the draft. And he does fill a need. Like, I think there's some questions about the scheme fit next to Quinnen, but I'll put my faith in Glenn that he's a good defensive coach. Wilk's a good defensive coordinator. If they're going to take Mason Graham, they obviously have a plan for him. Oh, but Jake, you're too negative on Glenn. I'm literally giving him the benefit of the doubt if they take Mason Graham, who many think wouldn't be a good scheme fit next to Quinnen. One thing I hate is like, oh, well, Glenn's a defensive guy, so they're going to take a defensive player. If that's true, we've already lost as Jet fans. That's the old Rex Ryan approach. That gets you Quentin Coples and Kyle Wilson and so on and so forth. Like Glenn says he's going to coach the whole team. He's not a defensive coach. He's a football coach. Those are his words. So then, like, why would we take a defensive player then? Because if you're Aaron Glenn, you're going to be able to coach up all defensive players and make them better because that's your specialty. You already have way more talent on the defensive side of the football than you do on the offensive side of the ball. Right? And then if that's the case, then shouldn't you be looking to fix the offense? Like, why Steve Wilkes and Aaron Glenn here if they can't take existing players and make them better? Help your offense. JD writes in, I think AG being a defensive guy, he goes offense as he knows scoring is the biggest need. He and Wilkes can coach up the D. Exactly. I hope so. They take a non-Mason Graham player at 7. What does that tell you? I would have real doubts about this regime. Nate says that the best player on the board plays defense. That's why they take him. But I don't agree with best player available no matter what approach. That gets you 2 safeties in the first 2 rounds. And also, we have not had this since Parcells, where the head coach is the GM as well. Let's call it for what it is. Woody Johnson referred to Darren Muji as Aaron Glenn's sidekick at the introductory press conference. It's the Aaron Glenn show. He's got all the power. There's not a single decision that Muji will make unless Glenn's on board with. So there's an enormous amount of pressure on Aaron Glenn. I know everyone loves him because he played for the Jets. I get it. He was an awesome Jet. That will never change. But he's not just the head coach. That's why I have such a higher expectation. Like Robert Saleh was the head coach. Joe Douglas was the GM. He had final say. That was obvious. That was the dynamic. That was the power structure. Glenn is the GM as well, people. That's why we focus so much on him. I'm not being tough on Glenn. I'm holding him to the standard of the fact that he has never done it, and he's the GM as well. He's a coach and GM. I don't care what the official title is for Darren Muji. There's not a decision that is made that Aaron Glenn is not on board with. So, to me, there's like added pressure. And it could work. I'm not saying they can't work. Kyle Shanahan had the same responsibility too, and he was never a head coach before. Pete Carroll had all the say in Seattle. Now, he had previously been an NFL head coach in the 90s with the Jets for a year in New England. But that's part of it, too. It's not, someone said, oh, your expectation for Glenn is so different than what you felt for Saleh. Well, one, the rosters are completely different. Saleh took over an expansion-level roster that won 2 games the previous year. Glenn's taking over a far more talented team. And Saleh didn't have control over personnel like Glenn does. So I think I'm more than fair when you look at it from that perspective. Sam says, not negative on Glenn. He's more qualified than past coaches. Reasonable to set a higher standard. 8 wins. I think the biggest reason why I have a higher standard too, Sam, is because I believe in the talent on this team. I thought they were the worst coach team in the NFL last year. They should have won way more than 5 games. I'm holding this team to the standard of, I think the roster is way better than what the record was. We're 2 years removed from 7-10 with the 32nd ranked offense in the league. You know how hard that is to do? Now we have supposedly a defensive mastermind, a head coach, and I think Steve Wilkes is a good DC. It's a really good hire by Aaron Glenn. So I'm praising that hire by holding the Jets to the standard of, you have good players on defense. We should be better there. They led the NFL in blown fourth quarter leads. Everyone talks about the Jets last year like they got killed in every game and they're so far away. Bullshit. They're not. You can't lead the NFL in blown fourth quarter leads if you don't have the lead in the fourth quarter. Go look at the Jets' point differential compared to the other teams in the top 7 and come back to me. They're not as bad as the record. That's my point. That's why I'm expecting this team to be better. And if they're not, then I don't know what to tell you. JYB in the Asmaniac raffle. 4, 5. JYB, I believe your Ken O'Brien jersey has already arrived, so make sure you check the mail today. Trade down. Warren, Membu, that's the order. We have too many holes to go defense. Even Graham, draft a late DT and develop him. I don't want Mason Graham. I would try and trade out of 7 if he's there and someone wants him. I wouldn't be fair if I said, how could you take a defensive player and it's Graham? Like, Graham's considered by many to be a top 3 player in the draft class, top 4. So I wouldn't criticize them for that. I just think, hey, if he's there, maybe better use of resource allocation to go out there and see if you could get someone to come up for him. All right, last chance to get in here. Final thoughts. Call in line has been posted in the chat. Call in if you haven't. More chances to get in the raffle. Signed Fields helmet. Signed AG helmet. Signed Curtis Martin helmet. Signed DeBrickashaw Ferguson helmet. Nicholas says, looking forward to meeting everyone tomorrow. Hell yeah. Draft party. It's happening. You could smell the greatness. Rich says, hit the like. Boomtown says, wake and bake. That's right. This is the earliest we've done a show in quite some time. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us right now on the Gusbuster Umbrella Hotline is a man who is laying down the law. Officer Beast is up next.
Right now, we're getting some gabagool. If you really want some gabagool, you gotta come get the gabagool. Catch you later.
Oh, shit. Oh, 1 second. What the hell is this shit? Goddamn ad blockers. Good morning, everybody. Sorry I'm catching up on some breakfast right now. If anyone wants to take a look at breakfast. A man's breakfast right there. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. All you see here is championship quality for a man. If you want manpower, come and get you some of this. And tomorrow, let's go get our draft kicks and let's win now. Yeah. Oh, is this Chef Kevin? Chef Kevin, that is fresh off the market. Fresh eggs with good old creme fraiche. Sausage patties. We use sausage, fresh sausage, 100%. Anybody who has balls to steal like me has the balls to do it. And a man's choice, a man's best friend, a cup of tea. Mm-hmm. Anybody who
Tea,
has
not
it?
coffee, Beast?
That's right. And I'm gonna put the little ding. That's right. A man's breakfast, a man's power. And tomorrow night.
Have you ever been behind on breakfast, Beast?
No, I'm smart. I'm fast on my feet. And just this morning at around 6, I went to the doctor and checked on my blood pressure. It's a little too up.
Is it?
It went way too up after this whole week. And then last night, there was something happened last night. I caught it in my Instagram. This Bobby Beasley person was trying to claim that Gator was his cousin. I reported it to Mr. Gator. Gator got all the information. And let me just say one thing to everybody. To the Asmaniacs and the New York Jets, this man is not to be welcomed here. He's ungrateful, dishonest, and treats all of us like hot trash. So, in the words of all of us,
who's Bobby Beasley? He's never called into the show before.
This man is a disgrace and a liar and a horrible human being.
Who?
And
Who is this man? Who?
He is also a reptilian trash head, a big liar, and also tries to think he had sex with Britt Baker and tried to think he had sex with my daughter. Unfortunately, I don't think so because my daughter is married to her husband Miguel, and if Miguel hears this, Miguel's gonna whip his ass with a belt, and which I have over
Where's
here.
Miguel at? How come Miguel's never called in?
Miguel's busy. He's a construction worker. And you know what belt I'm talking? I got a brand new belt. It's a 56-inch belt. It's a country western belt that I paid $17 for, and that baby was a beauty. But you know what?
Western belt?
That's right, cowboy style. Hey, after all, you're from Texas. Yeehaw country. You're from Houston, ain't you?
I'm not from Houston. No, I did live there though.
Oh, okay. And I also know Gary's from Fort Worth. Is that right?
Well, he was born in New York, but he lives in Fort Worth.
Okay, we got that clarification taken care of. Tomorrow night, if I see one bad draft pick, you know how hard I'm going to be screaming? Through the roof until this building blows a gasket on fire. And
They're saying Rick Kent is Bobby Beasley. Is it possible that Rick Kent is leading a coordinated attack with this Bobby Beasley character?
No. Rick Kent, no, Mr. M. Morris. Rick Kent is himself. He's his own human being. He's probably on the beach somewhere, probably getting a tan. And Bobby Beasley is Bobby Beasley. I have pictures on him. I sent it to Gator. Gator got all the information on him from top to bottom, including audio files that I have. And also I have it right here all on my phone. Don't think I don't see. Oh, I can't see. Hey, a blind look at Stevie Wonder could see from 10 miles away with bad eyesight. Even the great Ray Charles, the man who is so blind that can play that "You Got the Right One, Baby," can even see it himself. And I love Ray Charles. Sure, he's black, but you know what? I love that man. I love him.
What?
I love Ray Charles. He's a great singer. Hey,
Gator says that he's alerted the authorities. Bobby Beasley is going down.
hey, to Mr. Gator, thank you for that Little Joey t-shirt. And remember, to Mr. Gator, be all that you can be in the Army Reserve. That's
Beast,
the way you do it.
right now I have something to play for you.
I'm a little hungry.
I can see that. Here is the official song that has been submitted by Daz Acoustic. The song is titled "Fear the Hole." Peacebreaker 666 Anthem.
Super chat, boy does call. $50, he feels so small. Rick can't pay the bounty. Beast starts to shout, turns off the call before he's kicked out. Fear of the hole, it's eternal abyss. Sodomites in the deep, the won't miss. A pain super chat, he has to go. Peacebreaker, fear of the hole. Beast is afraid, Rick sent him back. Eternal dark, he shit his pants. Who will feed Lil Joey? Now the beast is locked up. The beast on his knees, praying for more. The beast is afraid, Rick sent him back. Eternal dark, he shit his pants. Who will feed Lil Joey? Now the beast is locked up. The beast on his knees, praying for more. Swallow slow. Swallow slow.
Ladies and gentlemen, the latest Beastbreaker song. Beast, you didn't like it?
Disgraceful. Very
Really?
disgraceful. Slap in the face to Joey. Daz, you just got your pink slip. Get your band slip. See you later. Number 6.
I think the chat liked it. The chat enjoyed the song, Beast.
I don't care for it. It's a slap in the face to my little boy, and it's a slap in the face to me. Ungrateful. Very ungrateful. You know what? Gator told me something a long time ago. There are assholes out here that may not like me. There's some that do respect me. You know what? I'm gonna side with the people who respect me because they know I'm way too tough and I talk facts. To the others who hate my balls so much and hate my guts and rather see me on a player play dead, you know what? Y'all can eat shit and choke on these down here. I don't play your pity.
You get the out.
All right. Thank you very much, Beast. Great song. I thought it was tremendous. Kyle Clifton checks in. 2 raffle entries for Kyle. $10 super chats all week long. Going for 2. If Bobby Beasley gained access to the draft war room, we are alone. Guy's an effing arch villain. This Bobby Beasley character is something. He's never called into this show, but he apparently it has it out for Beast. I hope this Miguel guy calls in as well. Beast said that Miguel is his daughter's husband. Or did he say boyfriend? I forget already. All right. On that note, buy your draft party ticket, people. It's going to be a great night. Can't wait to see so many of you tomorrow. Today's the last day. You can lock in your spot. So do so if you haven't done so. Anyway, that's a show. Tune in today on the radio. I'll be on ESPN New York from 1 until 3. I'm planning on doing a late afternoon show. So you're still getting 2 shows, but this show happened to start earlier than usual. Again, my name is Jake Asman. Hit the like button on your way out of here. Thank you all for tuning in to the program. We'll be back in the afternoon for more. So get ready for that because it's going to be wild. It's going to be crazy. And I can't wait to see what the Jets do tomorrow night. JETS, Jets. I will talk to you guys soon. Pray to the football gods they don't take a non-Mason Graham defensive player at pick number 7. Please. Please. Go Jets. See you guys soon. Thanks for watching.
BJF is gone.
He was on for the first hour. Now, Neil, the AI summary of the chat is right now. I want to read it to you for you to get you to comment. Viewers in the chat, you're getting just so you know, you're getting destroyed in the chat right now.
Because I got no shirt on. I'm
back-to-back callers with no shirts on.
That's
yes.
it. Yeah, rip me, bro. I don't give a shit.
I'm not. I'm just reading the comments.
No, it's fine. I don't give a shit. But I can't see it, so I'll go back and look at it. Picture your wives under me, bro. Anyway.
Steve M, bro, your comments. I'm I can't, man. I need a 20. I'm taking 20.
Let's talk about buttered sausage. Talk about buttered sausage, where it comes from, what it does. Why is it doing what it's doing? Get it out of my face. What about buttered sausage?
Only on this show, dude. Only on this show.
It's not my jam. I don't buy jam. I buy honey, and I kiss it on the lips.
Joe Douglas going to get a lot of credit. And yeah, I read Rick's comment. I support in honor of Big Fella.
Oh, come on.
We're live on Broadway right now. Shirtless, baby. Shout out to the chat.
Nate, thank you very much. All right. The show's getting weird.
I don't know what is going on today. I was watching the show on delay, and then I popped in, and everyone's topless.
From Leany and NC, Jake, I'm going braless. Does that count? For the first time ever, I have to play this for a female listener.
Calm your freaky down.
Who was that lovely lady?
That was Carly.
Anyway.
Yep. Charles, I think we talked about you calling in and chewing on the air again. You couldn't wait till after your call to eat, talk to me and then you eat.
Anyway,
this is a great angle for you, Charles. Even better angle. Where are you calling us from?
Burger King in Hope Lawn.
What did you get?
A BK Roy crispy sandwich with Swiss cheese on it. No tomato. About to finish up my fries. I'm about to have a slice of birthday cake.
Very nice. Charles, I think you should give all your takes from this angle moving forward.
There's been a lot of you out there asking about who he be. Well, he's about to let you know.
He's Charles. This rap is so hot, you'll play it on a loop. You'll never get the recipe for chicken noodle soup. Super a spider or even a bat. Got nothing on me or Bobby with his hat. Lady's gotta be a 10 if I'm gonna date her. Shout out to my homie, his name is Gator. I'm Charles.
To all you other guys trying to rap on Jake's show, got nothing on this guy and his flow.
He's Charles. These bars be so hot, I'll get invited on Fountain. You know who won't? That hater, Alan. My comic book and movie takes are so hot and wild. Since my last verse, Johnny had another child. While YouTube is blowing up, I'm doing my part. I excuse myself every single time that I fart. I'm Charles.
Jets, Yankees, comics, hip-hop, nobody compares when it comes to him.
He's Charles. I see everyone on Jake's show trying to prop us. I'm the only one jumping over cars. Plus, he calls the show and he's always really loud. Shout out to Nick, you know he'd be proud. I don't like Zach or his family, they're Mormon. First name Charles, last name Gorman. I'm Charles, motherfucker.
You just witnessed the debut of a proud New York Jet fan and a Jake Asman production. Brought to you by the man, the myth, the legend himself.
I'm Charles.
Give us a little moonwalk.
I can't. I got the ankle. Oh, do you not know what happened?
No, did something happen recently?
Yeah, when I was in New York, I got hit by a car.
Is there security footage of this? Can I play it on the show?
So they would probably have the footage. I mean, what am I going to do with it now?
Gator's already working on a production of this, so
yeah, I think that's why I didn't want to bring it up.
I'm going to play a drop, and then that's your cue to make a face like you got hit by a car. You ready?
All right, I'll do it.
Here we go. Ready? And Gator writes in, can he throw the headset off and vomit?
Now there's a gas station over here. I'm gonna go get some pizza and see if they have any butter to put on
it. You could have died.
But I didn't.
Let's get it, Brett.